Hi everyone, it is September 14, 2022 and you're watching the Awesome10X Philippine Market Update. Okay, sorry, medyo yung a little bit madilim. So it's in, I'm outside. Okay, let's take a look at the Philippine markets for now. Wait up, sharing my screen. Okay, so let's start first with the stats here. We've seen the US markets last night drop 5% on the NASDAQ. Market value turnover today is 3.4 billion. So that's a very small. That's the turnover is still very minimal. You're seeing that there are only 37 advancers, 137 decliners, lots of selling pressure. In terms of gainers for the day, you only have Globe, Ayala Land, GT Cap, and AP. Everything else is on the downside, with pure gold dropping 4%. Let's take a look at your index movers for today. Let's just read through the price. Ayala Land is 28.75, Globe is 21.56, GT Cap is 500, Aboitiz Power is 32, Lucian Group's 8.93, Emperador's 20 bucks, Semiraras 41, MPI's 3.8, Wilcon 29, AGI 9.7, San Miguel 97, Converge 17, RLC 18, Mega World 232, Ascen 694, URC 125, Pure Gold 33.25, Meralco is 311. You've got Jollibee 243, PLDT 1670, SM Prime 3630, ICT 184, Metrobank 52.7, JG Summit 50, AEV is 58, BPI is 96, Monde is 15, Ayala Corp is 726, BDO is 127, SM is 860. So the overarching movement of the market today has to do the US was tanking quite huge based on the fact that inflation was the biggest catalyst for that drop. Well, inflation actually went as high as 8.3%. It was higher versus last quarter. See that if inflation continues to be very expensive, your companies that are manufacturing food are definitely getting hurt more. Let's just go through these pricing. So Monde has seen short-term peak. We still like Monde, but only if it is below. Well, actually, it's still expensive. So it has rallied to about 16. If ever it retests here at about 12.6 or 13 pesos, if you can see the chart of Monde Nisin, it's currently trading within a range. So it has peaked short term, 20 bucks, lower highs at about 16, 17. And nowadays, it is trying to retest on whether there will be a lot of buyers here at about 12 and 13. So Monde is a consumer staple. It will remain to be seen on whether their sales is affected by higher prices. No, so it's two things. Monde can actually substitute some of their goods. They can actually lower the. So there's a term people are calling it for 300 grams. They can lower it about 280 grams. So yun, smaller size packs so that it's the same sales but just lower quantities. I think we would notice the impact on inflation for Monde Nielsen's numbers on the next earnings season come November. So, but we're seeing already some effects that consumer staple today are sideways. Pure Gold, quite a massive drop today, 4%. It's trading today at 32, 33. So with Pure Gold though, I think that these consumer staples went especially below 30. So at 29, 30, 31, Pure Gold, we would be buying it. I'm not sure though that you can get Pure Gold below 30s. So if you are affiliated, or sorry, not affiliated, but if you are interested with some supermarket staples, try to consider at about 33 until 30. So Pure Gold is actually an interesting pick here, even in today's sell-off. So in a bear market, most people are really very aggressively selling. Although of the year, you're seeing that Pure Gold actually already bottomed out, and the bottom is here 28.75. So around 30 pesos talaga, we're already seeing Pure Gold buyers step in. We're also seeing a decline today on Meralco. Let's just take a look at that. So Meralco is issuing 5 peso dividend and another 10 peso dividend. So it just finished paying 5 pesos last August 17. So that was a gross payment date is September 14, which is today. So they will be paying that the people who bought Meralco, all of the shareholders, they will get paid that 5.8. Now, we would argue that any dips, and Manila Electric is, yes, a regulated utility in the Philippines, but you got electricity as stable, whether it is a recession or not a recession, since we do expect that most households will continue to pay electricity, else brown out. They might actually consume electricity less. They could actually close their air conditioners, whatsoever. But we would assume that this is pretty stable. So the stability of Manila Electric Company is something to be bought. That would be interesting. So a peak of 375, it is coming back down here to about 295 or 310. So Manila Electric Company is something to look at. Let's try to also study some of the picks that we were suggesting. Let's understand the solar company. Aslag, okay, so Aslag has been dropping recently from around 36. It's now going down here to about 2 pesos back to the IPO price. We think that there's a lot of buyers as evidenced by a lot of insider buybacks. So from 170 all the way to about 190, we would view that as an entry point for any dips on Aslag. We continue to buy this 190 areas more the lower, of course, 190s or 180s, that would be a more attractive entry point. But even at $2, 2 peso today, we think that actually the people who are bullish on solar would want to be continuously buying this on dips. So recent high 2.3, 2.2, there is that resistance in the short term, but you've got a lot of the people buying it for the growth and the stability. So we're still gonna be covering Aslag as far as the next few years on their earnings and on their upcoming higher earnings from their third commercial plant, so which they opened this July. Taslag, I would like it. Let's take a look on your Cebu Pacific. Let's take a look at these names. So we've been covering the reopenings in the Philippines. Cebu Pacific is a beneficiary of that. 330% increase in their recent revenues, although that comes from a very small base, very low base. You're ready that over the last 2 years, so the pandemic has allowed Cebu Pacific to recover, and yet the stock price has not. Your stock price has been sleeping between 39 and the peak of 53. So I would assume that the people who have cash in the sidelines should continue to purchase Cebu Pacific here at about 42 areas. What else should we be interested upon? Let's take a look at the PSE documents, and I'd like to also take a look at DNL. DNL today, we've noticed, diba, with commodities, usually commodities very cyclical. However, palm oil has actually dropped, and DNL has dropped already from 9.45 all the way to 6.6. The largest oleo fats, no, in the Philippines. Let's take a look at what palm oil prices has done. Take a look at the crude palm oil futures here, or the USD Malaysian crude oil. Let's take a look at the chart of that. So you can see that crude oil has already fallen from a peak of 1.5 to about, sorry, not oil, crude palm oil, from 1.5 to about 860. So we'd argue that even if CPI last night was still pretty high, still say that crude oil is consolidating nicely and lower. Got actually a potential revaluation on DNL, and is here at about 7 areas, as low as 7. So it's doing 785 ngayon. So I think that this is still a sustainable uptrend. Agree with the DNL buyer. So here about July areas, I think we discussed, although not a company profile, but there will be a lot of attention towards these beneficiaries. And in fact, even if Monde and URC are slightly falling today, I would argue that people are actually looking to buy some URCs on dips here at about 115. So this is already a higher low. Why did C to begin with go up? It's because over the last 2 months, since June, we've been seeing oil prices go down, commodities as a whole. Yes, there is a strong dollar. There is very huge importation, and that's a problem. a lot of people are already pricing in all of these interest rate hikes and all of the inflationary concerns and passing it on towards consumers. URC has also introduced a new product recently, which is the Chill. I'm not sure if Chill is going to be a very strong driver of news, but I will give URC the benefit of the doubt that any dips here, about 120 and 110, are already being seen by the market as a sustainable entry buy point for, of course, an ASEAN conglomerate that has been serving not just the Philippines, but obviously all throughout Southeast Asia. So we know that URC is the ASEAN conglomerate because it serves in Vietnam, it serves in Malaysia, Thailand. So URC products are not just a Philippine-based business, and it's something that you might want to consider, especially after a really strong drop from as high as 240, now trading at 120 areas. So the lower the better. So for URC, I'm looking for the next 3 to 6 months, and I'll probably cover URC in a deeper manner here. But when it comes to inflationary concerns, I believe it's a matter of passing on. I'm not gonna say that inflation will be controlled. It's just simply a matter of normalization when people are used to, I mean, you perhaps have seen yourselves EB. It used to be 99 pesos, now it's about 120 pesos. So a lot of us have become acclimated with a high or elevated inflationary level, and that's what's gonna happen on your consumer goods. So URC, Monday Nissen, it's possible that all the negativities about how huge of a concern your inflation the commodity prices are, it could have been exaggerated. And the reason why we say that is because the evidence on the recent earnings reports have not shown a huge slowdown in sales so far. Of course, things can change if the inflationary environment can really prevent sales to grow. But as long as sales remain flattish, or even growing 10%, I would argue that the market has been more. Should also on Shaky's Pizza. So we've said last when was this? We covered Shaky's Pizza. For those who are new here, please check our Awesome10X Investing channel. We did cover Shaky's Pizza about 2 weeks ago. For Shaky's Pizza, we've argued the buy point here at about 7 pesos and even at 8 pesos. So it's now trading at 7.8. So here between 7 to 8, the argument here has to do with the basis that Ricky's Pizza has been showing a 30 to 40% sales growth increase, and the prices today are still 50%, 70% from peak, so below peak. So the only problem with Shaky's Pizza is how fast it can recover. So, but then again, I would argue when you are investing in some Philippine gems here, we wouldn't be too fast in the revaluation as long as there is a cheap insider buying. And with Shaky's Pizza, we do know that 7 to 8 pesos, the owners have also been buying, including the CEO, Mr. Risa Vic, diba? So yun, I, I have it here. Wait lang. Of course, the kicker on Shaky's Pizza is still your okay, this is it. So we covered it September 1. Shaky's Pizza, long-lasting value beyond Philippine reopening resurgence. So that is topic topic last September 1. Are you able to see? So of course you've got the extra investments in Potato Corner, and the reopening is really fully booked actually. So all of these mga parties and restaurants and fast foods, casual dining restaurants are getting good recovery. I've seen the numbers, and so that's why I wanted to highlight. 33% system-wide sales, 1Q 2022 versus 1Q 2021. You've got a 270% increase in net income. Of course, that came from a very low base. But the point is that this company hit It's gonna hit about 10 billion of sales yet again. And we're gonna hit about 900 million sales again, earnings. So something to watch out for, especially if it's trading less than nasa 15 times multiple na to. So watch out for this. Watch out for these companies. Sorry, mahina yung video quality. I'm outside. I'll check your questions na rin. Aamin na kaya si Biden and Democrats na recession post midterm elections or bluff till next election niya? Also choppy po video nyo. Sorry sa choppiness. Yeah, I'm outside so medyo mahirap yung video connection here. But in terms of elections, actually what's happening in the US is it's a wait and see eh. Where actually yung Nasdaq, a lot of people are very bearish. But if you take a look on the movement of the market last night, even if that was a very negative print reaction after CPI, that is still actually just a retest of September 6. So that's not really surprising. And that is actually a higher low versus your June lows. So I still stick to the view that the market's actually sideways rather than bearish. And that is evidenced by the fact that the earnings didn't really deteriorate similar to the earnings on the 2008-2009 crisis illusion. Even in the Philippines, if you look at the most viewed disclosures, no, all of the companies are actually able to still pay and actually have been growing their earnings. So hindi nga lang as good as the rest the past few years, but still actually positive. So wala masyadong specific news to share in the edge. So I would just argue on the specific companies that we've already discussed. So fast lang fast look tayo. Okay, so still bullish on your Mrs. G. Let's talk about that. Gaisano. So our picks in the Philippine market, let's just go through it. So the Gaisano family has been accumulating this for over 2 years now. I would still continue to consider accumulating from about 1.3 to about 1.38 as low as possible for Mrs. G. PNB is an undervalued gem. However, I don't know when PNB will be unlocked. Nonetheless, visibility about a dividend plan, perhaps in the next few quarters, will be something that many PNB shareholders would be wanting to own, wanting to know. So this is already trading 0.15 times on the book value. It's down 85% from its recent peak around. It peaked during 2014, no? 2014 areas, 2013, during the time when PNB was thought of as a company that would merge with BDO or BPI. So here about 17.5, I would still continue to actually buy some PNB for those who have money parking around. PNB at 17.5, Miss G at about 138, Shell Philippines at 20 peso today. So there are actually interesting values in the Philippine market. 20.5, 20.3. We can see that Shell is just accumulated here. I'm still bullish on a lot of oil-related plays, specifically Shell. Let me answer your question lang. Saan po ba makikita ang dates for the Fed, CPI, etc.? My market calendar ba where I can see all these event dates? Yeah, you can just check. Investing.com has a calendar. The most important specific dates would be September 20 to 21. You've got another Fed rate hike. 100% price probability that they will raise 75 basis points. And then they will also raise rates on November and December. So 3 more rate hikes to go for a 4.5% Fed US interest rates. That also will, of course, affect your USD, PHP. Currently, your dollar peso is hovering about 57. We do think that every rate hike of US will be met by the Philippines with also a rate hike. So magtatablahan yung Philippines and USD. Thoughts on Globe's SRO. So usually when it comes to mga stock rights offering, they're doing this for a lot of expansion, right? Ako, I'm actually long Globe. I'm long here about to 150 area. And then if they make a stock rights offering, I'll be willing to just purchase it. So the way I see it, Globe is investing naman in their broadband. So I am actually bullish. I'm bullish on a lot of dividend plays in the Philippine market. Um, let's read through the file of Globe. So here, Globe sets a 20% discount. Singtel's Globe Telecom is pricing it at a 20% discount per entitlement right. Let's read through this. So for all the shareholders of Globe, you can buy more shares, one SRO share for every 13 shares owned at 1680. Technically, that 20%, if you have a 1 is to 13, what does that mean? Almost just a 2 to 3% discount. That's not much. So Globe is going to sell 10 million shares to raise 17 billion pesos through this transaction. Um, Sabi ng iba, participation does not come cheap. If you have 1,000 shares of Globe, you can only buy 75 SRO shares. It's actually, it's not much of a discount considering 1 is to 13 yung entitlement. Offer period is starting on October 3 and on October 7. I don't think it is a significant drop. In fact, people who are Globe shareholders would value Globe above 2,000. So any drops is limited to 2,000. The people who can buy the SRO price will definitely use that SRO entitlement to purchase it. So hindi ko siya nakikita as a big factor. From now until October 7, I would assume Global just hover here, 2,000 to 22. People who will buy it will avail the SRO, definitely. For those who want to contact me, you can just message me. My email address is u.nikki@gmail.com. Let me post now in my comments. You can just email me um, and let's converse if you ever need. Your thoughts on Luciatan Group holding this since dividend rates are high. Okay. My only problem with very high dividends is how sustainable that could be. And I've always been very biased against cigarette companies. This has nothing to do with Luciatan Group. In the US, Altria Group has also been giving a very high dividend, something in the realm of more than 6% as well. Luciatan here is about 15% dividends, right? So some people like Luciatan Group and Altria per se because they believe that tobacco smoking is a 10-year or a 20-year or three or how many years of secular trend. Altria has always been also investing in the new category, which is yung Juul. They've also went into cannabis, companies like Kronos. I'm not quite bullish on tobacco industry per se, even if it is a cash cow. So my my view on the cigarette smoking industry is negative, but it's probably biased. Okay, cash flow wise, I don't think that you are wrong. Investing in Luciatan Group's company today is a huge dividend arc. That's correct. So, but I would argue, personally speaking, I'd rather go for industries that I believe upon. Nagkataon and emotionally biased lang ako. I'm against smoking. So that's why I don't have any recommendation in terms of either Altria or MO or LTG. It's a it's just a policy for me not to invest in cigarettes. Sorry. Um, Thank you. Um, if you like dividends, one of the things that may actually be a huge dividend payer someday is Shell Philippines. And if my theory is correct, Shell Philippines will grow that dividend policy from 1 peso to 2 peso, and that 2 peso will grow to 3 peso. So if you are paying 20 pesos today, and if Shell Philippines will raise that dividend to about 3 peso sometime in the future, I will get a 15% dividend yield on Shell Philippines by buying it today. Kasi mas gusto ko rin yung oil industry rather than tobacco. So I personally, like, if we go out, we gas up in Shell stations. So it's a matter of consumption policy on my end. I believe more in Shell. So if you are an LTG shareholder, it's fine if you bought it for the divs. But my alternate solution for you is, do you know that you can get about 10 to 15% dividend on Shell Philippines, because there is a high chance for it to grow the dividend from current 1 peso to 2 peso and 3 peso. And the reason is simple. It used to pay 3 pesos already prior to the pandemic, especially with oil prices also trading at $90, $80. There's a reason why I prefer Shell Philippines. Out of all the companies that I like in the Philippine market today, um, I agree in believing that there's such an anomaly, lots of valuations, but it might not grow as quickly as everyone wants. Might take 2 years. Today's 2022. It might take 2023 next year, or 2024, 2025. But when you invest now at the bear market time, you will see and reap the returns 2 years or 3 years from now. Same thing with what we said when we were asking you guys as well on whether DMC was a buy at 4 plus levels. And we argued that it was a yes, it was a buy because the dividends alone would compensate even if it does not go up. Can you imagine if Shell Philippines does not even go up for the next 3 years, but still pays you 1 to 3 pesos every year? Minimum 5 to 15% yield yun. Within 5 years, meron ka ng 100%. Kasi kapag nagbayad ng 3 peso, 3 times 5, 15 peso. 7 years, bayad yun. So that's why I'm saying na there's a lot of undervaluation today. Buy and sleep some really good companies. Mrs. G, the Gaisano family, is buying a lot, 1.4 below. 300 million pesos buyback program. It might take 1 year more, but you can clearly see from the balance sheet, it's 3.9 billion pesos of cash. Ang kailangan mo lang, wait patiently and buy the insiders na buyback program din sila. So I've seen the PNB naman, the problem with PNB is the lack of transparency on whether they will issue a dividend, considering ang laki ng income, 11 billion pesos for the first half. So there's a lot of leeway for banks to pay a net income dividend the same way that BDO, BPI, and Metrobank does. I think all the banks are good dividend players. And when they issue dividends, automatic yan. The people hungry for the REITs and people hungry for the bonds are automatically gonna shift to the stocks, because if 5 to 6% yung dividend alone and vast undervaluation, they would go for this. And that already happened. We already saw the market bought Nicolasia. They bought DMCI. These are commodity names. One day, they'll do the same for Shell Philippines. You just watch. Hintay ka lang. So there's a lot of earnings potential and recovery that would happen. And the nice thing about this is time is in your favor when the company is growing talaga. So that's what I like. The companies are growing income. The market is obviously too fixated about where the index is. These companies are not index based. So whether the index is hitting 6,000 or 7,000 will not matter for the company. And as I said, there are resilient companies even in the index. URC at about 110 actually present a good value. Pure Gold at 30, Meralco at 300. A lot of good companies. So I'm leaning more into the bullish side for the next 3 months to even next 3 years. So that's it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.